Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning into Revolution Radio on Tuesday night. Just like every other Tuesday night at 8 p.m., this is the Idavox Report.
Everyone, how y'all doing?
Hey.
Oh boy.
Hello.
Welcome to the Idavox Report. It's good to have you here on this hot ass day. It's 1,000 degrees, and I'm not complaining considering that we had a really we had a somewhat mild winter with the exception of that one blizzard that just said, you know what, we're still winter. So I'm glad that we finally got out of the winter and we are now about to enjoy a rather uneventful summer. Right?
That's what we're hoping.
Right?
And there is no water in the Northeast. It hasn't rained in my home state here in, 75 years, 80 years, something like that. I mean, it's really bad. And we're starting to worry about, hey, man, we've been fucking up this earth for a long time. And she's pissed, man. She's pissed.
Hey, if you ever do get some water in my case tea, we might have to be drinking out of everybody else's stuff.
Look, this is dry. What am I going to do? The bong is dry, man.
I can't help you with that. I know some people that can, but
it ain't dry. Don't worry about it.
Because I don't want to blow up anybody's spot, so I'm not going to say any further than that. But I will say that with the exception of Christian, we have basically a New England show because
Someone's got to hold it down for Jersey.
Hey, you got to hold it. You got to hold Jersey down. You got to hold Jersey down because I'm not there right now. I'm in Providence, Rhode Island, just chilling out. I'll be in Boston tomorrow.
Oh, cool. Hey, we're gonna have
Rod and Lauren are right now, and y'all remember Rod and Lauren? We had Oh no. You know what? I'm gonna say it like this: Rob Weber and Lauren Pespisa.
Close
enough.
No. I am going to do this right. I thought I had it right.
I got $5 as he fucks it up again. $5. Anybody take
Nobody ever gets it right.
You want me to get it right? I'll get it right. What's he fucks it up one more time though? $5. Anybody? No.
I'm going to get it wrong because I thought I had it right this time.
Like Pez pizza.
My hands are off. I'm not Googling. I'm not looking.
Is it?
All right, just do
it.
Let's see what you come up
Lauren
with.
Pespisa.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Oh, I was close. I just said.
No, you weren't. You were way to fuck
What
off.
about the S? That's all. It's all right. They just call me Pepsi most of the time. It works.
Oh no, I ain't doing that.
That was the first I saw. I was like, I want some delicious Pepsi.
Yeah. It's like Kylie Jenner passing a Pepsi to the riot cops. I've never done that yet. I don't think I could get away with it.
Has anybody tried that yet? Have tried giving
I've
them
always
Pepsi?
wanted to just because of my name, but like it doesn't. I don't feel safe.
Yeah. Well,
They don't
there's
like-
two Laurens on this show right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are those her
I got
paintings?
fake hands right now.
Are those her paintings in the background, Daryl?
Yes. We're chilling out here at home. And we're enjoying each other's company. We're having a good time. And I just want to just thank you for accommodating me with this kind of silliness that we're doing today. But it's gonna. You heard that, right? Anything for DLJ. So, and I'm gonna cook for her later.
Ooh,
There you go.
that's better than I do for Rod.
What you gonna make?
I don't know yet. It's gonna involve chicken.
Yeah.
It's coming from Hello Fresh. That I do know.
Can't go wrong with chicken. Unless you undercook it.
I do want to note something that I just got down the pike just a few minutes ago. It looks like one of the founders of the Crips died or something like that. I have to check and see what that's all about. Monster Corey or something like that. I'm not familiar with him. Monster Cody. He his real name was Sanikia Shakur, also known by his former street moniker Monster. He was a former member of the gang, the 8 Tray Gangster Crips. And since in March 27, he was sought by police for parole violations. But he was released from Pelican Bay after serving 2/3 of a 6-year sentence in August 2012. But there's no news about. I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. Wikipedia. This is so recent that Wikipedia doesn't even have it on the.
The Source has an article.
Here. Huh?
The Source, the hip hop magazine, they have an article.
That's where I found it.
Yeah.
He died on June 6th. Don't know what happened. I believe it says that he was incarcerated. Still was incarcerated. I don't know for sure, but yeah, he's gone. I mean, let me say what Wikipedia says about him. Yeah, he was a former member of the Los Angeles gang, the 8 Tray Gangster Crips. He got his nickname as a 13-year-old gang member when he beat and stopped a robbery victim until he was disfigured. Shakur claimed to have reformed in prison, joined the Republic of New Africa movement, and wrote a 1993 memoir called Monster, the autobiography of an LA gang member. And it describes how he was drawn into the gang life. So I guess a lot of people know him from that book. So he's gone. I just got that information just a couple of minutes ago. So I wanted, but that's not what we're here for today. I also want to talk and mention and bring up the fact that a lot of people are chiming in about what's going on with American Renaissance and asking how they can be involved. There are websites. I would say go to daysofunity.org if you're interested. And we're trying to still working on gathering strength, and we got people that are contacting us every day. If you go to the Ida Vox website or even the onepeoplesproject.com website, you can find the phone number for One People's Project. Feel free to give us a call if you want. And we'll just send you on the right track. We'll probably have some more updates as of next week in regards to American Renaissance. And then if you're in Jersey, there is also going to be a Scott Pressler of Act for America, Islamophobic scumbag. He is going to be he's on a tour right now. And he's trying to basically gather up his forces for the upcoming election and all that. So he's having some sort of like voting registration training.
For the upcoming race war.
Yeah, for whatever. He doesn't want to call it a race war, but that's pretty much what the hell it is. He is invited. He's going to be in New Jersey on Juneteenth.
Oh boy.
On Juneteenth, he's going to be in 2 spots in New Jersey. All the other areas of the country that he's going to is pretty much a safe space for him and his politics and his ideals. Jersey, not so much. So a lot of people. So we sounded the alarm. Me and a crew of people are sounding the alarm about him coming into town because he's going to be at the American Legion halls when he comes to Jersey, and that's problematic considering what the American Legion did to a retired lieutenant colonel as he was trying to explain how Memorial Day came to be. On Memorial Day, they cut it. This happened in Ohio. It was and he was basically telling the story about how it was on May Day. It was on March 1st, and it was basically founded by. And you know what? I'm going to play it safe because I want to tell this story properly. So I'm getting it up right now because I didn't think I was going to bring this up, but I had to.
Well, I just add something really quick. I just wanted to jump in. I looked up the American Legion. So I'm not a veteran. I never served, and the veterans in my families don't get involved with VFWs or American Legions. But for those of us that don't know, that I wasn't aware of this, the American Legion was actually formed 2 weeks after the first Comintern in 1919 by American military officers serving in Europe, upper-class military officers that wanted to stifle revolution here in the United States. Right? These are people that saw worker organizing in places like Seattle and places like New York City, and the American Legion was created, originally led by Teddy Roosevelt's son, with the purpose to stomp out revolution in the United States. It is rooted. It is an anti-worker organization, so it is well within their history, their body of work to be inviting these QAnon types and these whatever these white supremacists, the racists are. This is what they do. So we really shouldn't be surprised. They literally just had. I think they're 100 years old now. Well, yeah, 1919. So
we are 102 years old. And what happened in Hudson, Ohio, is has organized a Memorial Day ceremony, turned off a speaker's microphone when the former U.S. Army officer began talking about how free black slaves had honored fallen soldiers after the Civil War. When he started talking about that, the American Legion cut his mic. Now that Legion Hall lost its charter. The heads of that Legion Hall resigned or whatever. But it's a black eye on the American Legion, even with the history that Christian just brought up. And now we have this event that's happening in Jersey. I mean, Scott Presler has spoken at other American Legion halls as well. This time, and it's speaking of QAnon, to Christian's point, there's a guy running for president, a guy running for Congress in New Jersey named Darius Mayfield. And now he doesn't stand a chance. He's in my district.
Yeah,
my
he's
district.
He's not beating Coleman.
No, he's not being Bonnie Taylor Coleman. But he's still problematic because he's tight with Presler. He calls himself a Trump Republican. He says, and even though he's flipping his lid over the fact that I've been bringing this up, he's been associating with QAnon. I mean, Scott Presler is famous for doing these cleanup stunts in inner cities where no one wants him around. And Darius, who by the way is black, has been going into inner cities in New Jersey and just recently in Philadelphia doing the same thing. And it's all political stuff, mind you. But he brings QAnon with him. Brings people who are down with QAnon. And I'm sounding the alarm on that. A lot of us are crying foul over it, and we just simply don't want that. And just because you have a gay man in the sense of Presler, and you have a black man putting it together, does not excuse the fact that they're promoting fascism. So do not get it twisted. And that segues into what we're here for today. Just because you can align yourself with people of color or even with people on the left does not make you a good guy. No matter how much Jimmy Dore tries to tell you the Boogaloo movement are loaded with good guys, namely a guy that he had on the show named Magnus. And the reason why we asked Rod and Lauren back on the show is because when back in January, when Jimmy Dore, failed comedian, not failed, just not a good comedian. And he has a podcast, and he has called the Jimmy Dore Show. He had this Boogaloo bum on his show. Now, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, the Boogaloo movement, the so-called Boogaloo movement, is supposed to be about the upcoming Civil War. That, according to one Boogaloo bum, it will happen when the right does not feel it can win national elections anymore. So apparently, Jimmy Dore thinks that just because Magnus announced that he will align with Black Lives Matter to fight the government that is all of our enemies and other aspects of the left, the LGBTQ community and everything, that must mean we should all unite with him, despite the fact that he's also uniting with people like Kyle Rittenhouse, despite the fact that he is still very much so a fascist. We're supposed to look past that, according to Jimmy Dore. And he's been spending the past couple of months, Jimmy Dore, trying to justify platforming this Boogaloo bump. Well, if you're going to platform somebody, you do it right. And that's exactly what a group out of well, they're called the Lone. I don't want to say. Hold on a moment. I want to give them their proper name as we're talking. I had to switch out of that. But there we go. So we published something on iDevox.com that came from an organization that wrote a Medium story. It was called Lone Gunman AFA. AFA stands for Anti-Fascist Action. And Mr. Magnus was doxxed. His real name is Zachary Daughtry, and he was born in August 1992 in the Detroit suburbs, I believe. And they put him on blast because his past does not sound like somebody that we should be working with. Now, apparently there's been people that have been following him for years, which is why it was probably this easy to dox him. What they did, what Lone Gunman did, was pretty much put it all on one page. And you can find their article on the Medium. You can find the Lone Gunman on Twitter at let me make sure I got there because I scrolled down. Come on. At Lone Gunman AFA. And you could talk to them. Basically, what they'll say in a nutshell, Zach and the Michigan Boog have lied about their intentions and activities. Zach and the Michigan Boog short for Boogaloo, have organized with malicious intent on kidnapping elected officials. That goes back to a group called the Wolverine Watchmen or something like that tried to kidnap the Michigan governor last year. And got arrested. Zach and the Michigan Boog traffic in Nazi language and imagery. Zach and the Michigan Boog often traffic with groups that end up practicing terrible OPSEC and are ultimately apprehended by law enforcement. Zach and the Michigan Boog value property in opposition to human life. And Zach and the Michigan Boog has final dealings with fascists. Now, if people want to understand where all of this is coming from, go to iDevox.com and look for the article that's titled Zachary Magnus Pravitya Daughtry. Jimmy Dore's Boogaloo bum isn't what he cracked himself up to be. And that was really the point that Rob was trying to make on Jimmy Dore's show when a couple of days after, or a day or two after Zach Daughtry came on. So I want to start this off by first saying, welcome, Rob, welcome, Lauren. And ask, have you read the article?
Several times, yes.
And secondly, how do you feel about these kinds of developments? Where are you at on this?
Most of them I more or less knew about. It was nice that he put it all together in one continuous thread. But I'd mentioned a lot of these things in the Twitter thread when I initially published my version of events, where I took the screenshot of my interview with Jimmy Dore. Obviously, I went back and forth with you, Daryl, because I kind of wanted to have your ear on how to properly handle this. But we waited for 10 days, did the interview, and waited diligently. I didn't want it to seem like I was jumping the gun or I was being a dick about it in any way, shape, or form. Waited for 10 days. I messaged him every couple of days and wouldn't get back to me. But a number of those things were covered in my various tweets. I like that he had more details on the Governor Whitmer attempted kidnapping plot. One of the great things that he pulled together was this bit about Timothy Teagan and the various boogs that are pictured in those photographs. So Timothy Teagan was one of the boogs in that the photo of, there was four, I believe there's four of them there. He's photoed with Magnus. There's a number of other videos on that same day in Michigan where Magnus had given the speech, where Tim is walking along with him. He just makes it a little bit more clear. But one of the things that I think is actually most damning to Jimmy is actually outside of this whole article, which was the Max Blumenthal interview with Conversation Couch. Oh my God, Max Blumenthal considers himself to be a good friend of Jimmy Dore, and so after I did my interview, Magnus went on the interview circuit. He did Alex Jones. He did the Conversation Couch. He did a number of libertarian podcasts, I think, but specifically Conversation Couch. They're amplifiers for Jimmy Dore. They're one
Explain what the Conversation Couch is.
Say again.
Oh, could you explain what the Conversation Couch is?
It's Fiorella and pasta is what they go by, and honestly, it's not the best show. I don't watch it a lot, but I feel like they just kind of regurgitate a lot of Jimmy Dore's talking points, and there's kind of a circuit of people who regurgitate a lot of the same stuff, and I think they're largely in opposition to Sam Cedar and his points. And honestly, I don't agree with Sam Cedar on everything. I agreed with Jimmy Dore on the pushing, force the vote. I was with him on that. But he also says a goddamn lot of things where he's just got his head jammed firmly up his ass. And this is one of them. Medicare for all. I mean, that, honestly, that seemed like the way to go. But that's neither here nor there. Max Blumenthal is, one of the biggest eggheads out there who considers himself a friend of Jimmy Dore. He goes on the Conversation Couch, and Conversation Couch, Fiorella starts bringing up Magnus, specifically because she had him on. And she wanted to try to determine if was it appropriate to call it an insurrection or was it a riot? And so that started Max on what he had to say, and what he had to say more or less echoed what I had to say, which was it was born of a right-wing ideology on 4chan that largely these individuals have been. Well, first of all, he says I don't know what they are, but what I do know is that they're largely compromised individuals. Similar to Thomas Edward Caldwell, who was the guy from not the 3%ers, but the Oath Keepers. The Oath Keepers. Of course, you've got the head of the Proud Boys himself is working with the FBI. I think it's kind of an old playbook that these guys are friends with the FBI agents. They're friends with the cops. God knows what they're doing. You don't want to be working with them. Max Blumenthal makes this point, and then he breaks it down for Fiorella and Pasta, and they do not like what he has to say, and they just kind of moving on. And Max, to his credit, keeps coming back to it, and he says that I don't think that Jimmy's a bad person, but he did not help himself by bringing this up. And I don't think that Jimmy is a fascist, but I think he's an opportunist, and he has stepped in a big old fucking pile of shit by thinking that he can get up his likes and his retweets and all that fucking shit, which he absolutely has. But rather than pushing things to the left, what he's doing is pushing people to the right.
And that brings. Oh well, no. Actually, I talked enough. Christian, Brian, do you have something to chime in before I go back in again?
Yeah, I mean, we did have I want to recognize a comment on the stream here with Suburban Lab, and I mentioned this in the pre-show. He says Jimmy has spoken on this subject already, and he said he was wrong, and he doesn't speak about Magnus anymore. He said he didn't do enough research.
Bullshit.
Yeah, okay. So that's what I would like to do. I mean, Suburban Lab. I mean, if you got a clip of him being contrite about this. I'd like to see it because all I've seen Jimmy do is stick his feet in the ground and say, no, I have a right to do this. That's all I've seen. So I don't know.
So I publicly called Jimmy out continuously on Twitter and in the DMs. And, rather than be contrite about it or say anything that's kind of retracting what he had said in the interview with me, what he went ahead and did was show that he understood about platforming, and he redacted Alexander Reed Ross's name from one of the things, and then went ahead and said Magnus's name over and over again. For a man who's like in those actions, he shows that he knows what platforming is. But who he wanted to platform was Magnus and not Alex. And so I don't know. And then after that, then there was the whole thing with Ford Fisher. We're best of frenemies with Ford. We see him, and we're at all the same protests, except that Ford doesn't. This is the difference: is that Ford knows his friends are the right wingers, and so I never see him out at the crazy shit, the crazy left shit, because he can't go there, and I can't go to the crazy right shit because I can't go there. I wasn't at the Capitol riot or any of that stuff. But Jimmy did a 1-2 punch with putting Ford Fisher and Glenn Greenwald on together, and so he has Ford there to say what he saw at the Capitol, and then has Glenn on to intellectualize and whitewash what Jimmy's saying. You know, while Glenn is going on about, well, you can't possibly know what the answer is unless you've seen these things on the ground. Basically he's bitching out Robert Maxwell for his article that he wrote. And this goes on, and I called out Ford point by point by point, and Jimmy's playing it off as if, oh my God, why would anyone think that Ford Fisher's a conservative? Well, just on his Ford's own goddamn videos, as I pointed out to Ford and anyone else who paid attention, is that on News to Share, he went to the what was that, the Right Anarchist Convention, where he's explaining that he used to work for Fox News. And that he is a conservative, but I'm yelling too much now. Just shut up.
No, that's great. Thank you. Please yell more.
I'm sorry.
Is there a mark? I don't follow Jimmy Dore. I mean, he made comments. He made comments about Brazil a couple years ago, and like just the weird anti-corruption movement, Lava Jato in Brazil. That basically led to Luke getting arrested. So I really have not liked Jimmy Dore for a while. He did a little damage with that. So again, like I said, I don't follow. Is there a market for this weird contrarian left? Like, I guess Jimmy does a house, right? Like, how, like, because I mean, Jimmy Dore is leftish, right? He does care about people, but it's like, I don't know. Can you speak on that? How big this market is? What was that?
The market for the weird contrarian left looks about the same demographically as the alt-right.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, right? Because like who on the left has these sentiments? Like, who wants to hear like it's such an outdated argument of let's hear what they have to say. We have the internet. We don't need to talk to these people. They're publishing what they want. So I don't know. I'm in awe. I don't understand.
Well, okay, so to Lauren's point, actually, there's a number of people that have been tagged me in on a number of Twitter threads on this. One of these guys was Eric London, who pulled up a huge pile of Reddit posts after, or I think maybe it might have even been while Magnus was on there, and all these guys were kind of live commenting while Jimmy was doing it, and they're all, oh my god, like. Jimmy's about one hair away from answering the JQ, meaning like the Jewish question. And this dude, Eric London, got a ton of screen captures on this. So the real question, becomes at that point, what is going on in there? Oh, and so that ties in with the Jerry White thing. Obviously, Jerry White from the Socialist Equality Party was the guy that he had on with, before me with the whole Magnus thing. He tore apart Jerry's interview to say what he wanted to say, which is clearly what Jimmy planned to do to me. And the only reason that Jimmy was not allowed to do it was because Jimmy had already done it to me once. So I decided to record my end of the interview. I don't feel like I have to do that with normal people like yourself. But, Jimmy had already done it once. And Jerry or anyone else who goes on Jimmy's show should know to do the same, because he's being disingenuous, he's not transparent, and he doesn't want to have a fair fight. So he didn't know, what half the things I was talking about, including Kyle Rittenhouse, and he was all surprised about that. Or the ADL, and on top of that, his boy Max Blumenthal, was pointing all this shit out, and Max tore him a new asshole. So,
and it's funny too because Max actually was one of the first journalists, nationwide journalists, to actually approach me about stuff that we were doing. I mean, we were tight for a while. I haven't spoken to him in over maybe 10 years or so, 10, 11 years. But, Max was the dude that when I was writing about Sean Hannity's white supremacist ties, in his case, white supremacist, Hannity palling around with a white supremacist named Hal Turner.
Oh, I remember Hal Turner.
Max wrote about that and put it out there. The last time I really talked to Max, and I really hope this isn't the reason why we haven't spoken. I don't think it is, because it's been because we actually spoken for a while after, but then it was over. We also exposed James O'Keefe going to white supremacist white supremacist meetings, posting pictures of him.
He was that thing with Jared Taylor, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We took that picture. And and Andrew Breitbart and Max Blumenthal took that story and wrote a story based on what we wrote to, I believe it was Salon. Who is I think it's Salon. It was Salon. And Andrew Breitbart lost his mind, because Andrew Breitbart was employing James O'Keefe at the time. And it was crazy, because I tell people all the time that Andrew Breitbart went on an 8-hour Twitter rant, and it was so funny, because that was how I got introduced to Andrew Breitbart, and I was just like, who is this motherfucker? And why is he flipping out? Okay. He's pissed, and he seems to have a little bit of influence. Oh, he's the guy that has that big Hollywood website and all that, and we stuck to our guns. I mean, because we had the goods. We had the receipts. We knew that James O'Keefe was dirty.
Yeah.
And when CPAC happened, Max was getting shit from Breitbart for being there, and Breitbart cussed him out. And then Breitbart was going crazy at CPAC at that time. Breitbart just went around and just started screaming at everybody that furthered the story. He did not know me yet. The one thing that was really interesting, and they do this every time they have to deal with someone that's black that's doing something to them. They don't go after the black person, they go after everybody else that is supporting said black person. And that's what they were doing to us. They were actually saying that One People's Project was not accountable for the story. We're the ones that wrote it. So I introduced myself to Andrew Breitbart. And that's something else you can see in the documentary, because there's a piece of it in the whatchamacallit, in the documentary Alt-Right Age of Rage. But it's just like, it's on YouTube as well. And
film.
I just got into it with Breitbart over trying to squash the story. And time goes along, James O'Keefe is still connected, but me and Max had a good relationship for a good couple of years, and we haven't spoken in a while. So,
dude, you should hit him up, because one of the things that I saw in the conversation couch conversation is he's spelling it out to VRL and Craig Costa there that Magnus there's using terms like tanky, which he explains to them. If you don't know what that means, this is a term which is synonymous with communists or commies, and you're using the language of Fox News and conservatives if you're doing this. And as far as Max was concerned, he says, listen, I'm not a communist, but I believe they are our allies. And, you shouldn't be talking that way and putting that shit out there. Also, on top of that, there was the whole pile of tweets where he's got the Blue Lives Matter flag next to the Antifa flag, as if they were both something you could wipe your ass with. And so in Magnus's mind, they were all one and the same. And I'm not sure if that was while he was posting at Zachary Clark or Zachary Daughtry or Magnus or whatever the 5,000 aliases are.
Do you know the educational or like class background of these types? Like the Boogaloo leaders, are they working class people? Are they rich kids? Are they college educated?
Magnus claimed to be working class, but
that's like my dad owns a factory. I'm working class.
Yeah.
That's that.
I will say. I mean, there are certainly a spectrum of people that are involved in the Boogaloo movement, but the string pullers are not the working class members of the Boogaloo movement. These are people, as Daryl said before, some of these organizations are pretty well funded. You don't get pretty well funded in this country by working class donations. You get pretty well funded by having a couple of millionaires in your pocket with a few acres you could target practice on.
Warren had asked something a minute ago. I'm sorry. I just want to bring this up right quick. Oh, well, he's actually saying I've only seen the Boogaloo once, but they didn't stay long because Georgia State Troopers got on their ass. I bet they did. Now, Warren, I'm just trying to figure out because I was seeing him in passing. I don't know if he was asking whether or not the Boogaloo Boys are relevant or whether Jimmy Dore is relevant. And I would say no, but it's a good question. I think that we have to just put it in context with everything else that's going on. There seems to be this effort, particularly on the right, from the right, I should say, where they try to do this kind of fake uniting, you know, and there are too many folks who pretend to be on our side, who pretend to be liberals, or at least centrists, who are receptive to that, and I think a lot of it has to do with whatever money they're given. It's a possibility, but the fact of the matter is, when they platform folks like Zach Daughtry, that means they're furthering their message, not ours, not the message of the left. Like Rod said, they're redacting our names whenever they talk about us, but they're talking about Alexander Reed Ross. You know, I mean, they're not doing that for Zach Daughtry. You know, but and because they're doing that kind of platforming, and that platforming has relevance, I mean, has influence. That's where the problem is, and it's not just Jimmy Dore. We are talking about some folks who we're not really talking about all that much right now, but you know, they have been talked about. I mean, Bill Maher from HBO. He does this all the damn time. You know, I mean, that, and especially when you start talking about those new atheist types.
Yeah.
The Sam Harris type. Sam Harris is notorious for this. We've been talking about Glenn Greenwald, notorious now for this.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the danger in that too is the fact that, you know, look what happened with QAnon. You know, that seemed like a crazy, when you first see that coming up, this will never catch on. No one's ever going to, you know, have any sort of power that believes in this stuff. And then suddenly there's elected people sitting in our Congress that believe in QAnon because people are giving them the time of day.
Mm-hmm.
And because they had a platform. And so this is what happened. This could very well happen with the Boogaloo Boys, or, you know, without stopping it, because I mean, what their platform is, what they're advocating for, I mean, is a race war.
But do we want that? And so it is happening with politicians. Magnus's most recent podcast is with Spike Cohen, and I know Spike Cohen. Spike Cohen was running as Vermin Supreme's running mate, and I remember when it was suggested. I didn't know who the fuck this dude was, and Vermin didn't know who the fuck he was either. And I've had conversations with Vermin recently, and he says, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" But Vermin, Spike just went on Magnus's show like 3-4 days ago. And Spike seems to be, trying to, and again, if you didn't know, he wasn't just Vermin's running mate, then he became Joe Jorgensen's running mate. And, as it turns out, he was the VP candidate for the, third most powerful, party. I mean, not that the Libertarian Party is powerful, but you know what I'm saying?
I think it's important.
They have a little bit of visibility, and Spike is bringing it to the forefront. And quite honestly, I was calling him out on some of his bullshit even as far as a year back. And dude doesn't want to talk to me. I mean, I've been calling out the Libertarians since Vermin started doing this bullshit. And quite honestly, I'm sick of this troll game that he's been doing. God love him. I love Vermin till the day he dies. But holy shit, like he is in some dangerous territory, which, rolls off of his back because he's got a boot on his head. I don't know how the fuck he does it.
Do you think someday the boot will come off and he will just be supreme?
When we hang, it's not like he wears the thing.
He takes the boot off when we're running from cops.
That's so disappointing to me. You know that, right?
I haven't seen him with his boot off.
Do they get the Libertarians get the joke when he's around them? Like, do they know he's making fun of them? Like, I don't
not at all.
No.
Because I've seen, like, I've shown for my students, these are libertarian debates. And it was remember the idiot a couple years ago, the guy stripped down to a G-string? I'm like, this is who they want to run for president.
James Weeks is a lefty anarchist. The stripper.
Oh, okay. Well, that's even worse. But I just like question about jetpacks so they don't have to pay taxes for roads. Like, I don't know what universe libertarians. It is the ideology of like just a white middle class. Like, I don't understand. Like,
well,
I just don't understand libertarians.
It used to be about legalizing it.
No, but
and then we just did it.
No, but so Christian, I'm 100% with you. I've been on James' podcast and I've pointed this out. I'm like, dude, how the fuck are you part of this whole thing? And I know I think Daryl at one point described me as libertarian. And well, I guess if you go back, the European idea of what a libertarian was, or the way Noam Chomsky used to describe himself.
Yeah, okay, well, we just call them anarchists, right? But like libertarian,
But he's not a volunteerist. He's not a volunteerist anarchist. He describes himself as a left anarchist. And so all these left anarchists who are in the Libertarian Party, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing there, James? Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense to me. But they have this idea that if they're on that ticket, they can have some kind of influence.
I think the frustrating thing about libertarianism to me is the fact that if you're going to go by Nestor Manco's form of libertarianism, that's real libertarianism. Ayn Rand never really called herself a libertarian. That never came around. That never entered her vocabulary. Murray Rothbard is the one that bastardized the term, to be real.
Absolutely. But I always use Murray Rothbard against them. I mean, my favorite one is that Murray Rothbard said that even smoking cigarettes was a violation of the non-aggression principle. And I always say that as a way to saying, you need to wear your mask. You need to care about the environment. You need to be a Green Party motherfucker. That's what Murray Rothbard would have wanted you to
do. Not the Green Party.
I tell you about libertarianism.
You said a bad words around Brian.
Yeah, if you want a bunch of stoned, mentally ill people running your country, go for it. But
I'm not big on party politics anyway. So
I agree with Daryl. But
no, Brian, I also agree with you. You don't want the Green Party running your shit.
I worked for them for 6 years. They've
I like to throw the Green Party thing in their face just because the whole non-aggression principle. It's to fuck with them.
Yeah,
I think my feeling is
the libertarian. I mean, it was interesting hearing you all talk about the libertarian kind of movement and all these different sections of it. But I mean, like, at its core, it's for private property. It's for individual rights. It's against collectivism. It's the opposite of what lefties stand for. So I think
read Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. You have libertarianism. That libertarianism is.
So what they can't come to terms with is that the free market doesn't exist in the global corporatocracy that we're living in. They will admit it face to face if you go point by point on it. But they're like, oh, okay, we can work through that. And the reality is that we're not going to. And
I think
that's the core of their problem. But
I think here's the deal, though. I think that one of the things that if there's anything that has been obvious over the past 4 years, I mean, libertarian has made themselves very obvious over the last 4 years to be a con job. That is not. I mean, even the things that they say, the things that they espouse, as quote unquote radical as they may be in some instance, ultimately that's not what even what they're trying to do. In the end, they are trying to further fascist ideals in many respects, but put a happy face on it. It's basically a kind of thing that says this brand of fascism is good for everybody, and there's just too many people out there that just lap it up. The Proud Boys call themselves libertarians.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's kind of so you kind of have to start wondering, well, what exactly is it that libertarians would do if they ever were in power? I mean, we got an idea. Well, there has been libertarians that have been in the halls of Congress and in positions of power, but if they got the real power,
right? So actually, if I can actually take that point and bring it back to the original topic, which was the Boog and Magnus and all that stuff.
Sure.
Brian, I don't know if you're able to pull up videos here, but one of the videos that Magnus, if you put in just Magnus Pen video as one word on YouTube, you should be able to find this. He just did a video called "The Truth About Looting," and within that, we can see his real positions on property values. And this was he only posted this maybe a week and a half ago, and he just starts to put out his ideas about, if the police were positioned this way and that between the protests, it would prevent it from happening. And he seems to be making a plea to Republicans, is what he's doing. I didn't see this. I don't want to put it out. I mean, if you don't want to watch it,
No. How long is it?
I think it's like 3-4 minutes. It's probably too long for you,
but completely.
If we could do it, I don't know if we can do it on here now, but I'll definitely check it out. We will talk about it. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, there you go.
That's completely a character for them, because you know what? They want to go around playing toy fascists. They dress like it. They act like it. Oh, now they're talking about military anti-protest tactics. Like they could do a better job than the police could. Police suck. I don't disagree with them there. However, like this is what their brains are actually interested in is war. Yeah. They just couldn't make it into the military or something.
But that's what I'm saying is that Magnus is actually advocating for how the police should do stuff. He was trying to give them a game plan in this video, and it seemed like it was even against the thing that he was saying all this time, which was that he's allegedly against the police.
Toy fascists.
And that's something we need to take to groups that are in the streets right now fighting the police. I mean, the Black Lives Matter guys that he allies himself with. I am curious as to who in Black Lives Matter has he been associating with? What are they about for real? Are they actually down with everything that's been going on over the past year, or are they just some folks that that in all truth kiss a lot of fash ass?
Well, yeah. So on the last podcast, which I did watch in trying to get myself ready for this, he did have the local Michigan Black Lives Matter leader on, and I didn't have time to research him too much. But I don't know. I mean, they were getting their big thing was like Black NRA, which is NAGA, NHEA.
I really wish they changed that name. How in the world can
I hear you?
That acronym. How in the
I guess I saw the report. I guess you were asking about where they're working together. I saw there was a pretty good size. We have about 5 minutes. I'm not going to pull it up here on the BLM 757 group that works with BLM boys or the Boogaloo boys in Virginia. They had a rally in Virginia Beach, and they showed up to a gun rights rally where some Nazis showed up to do a white power salute, and then they all teamed up against them in a big show of love. So their buddies came and gave a Nazi salute so they could stage a thing with the BLM, basically, is what happened.
Now, just
so y'all know, that big love story was staged by white supremacists.
Yeah.
Get it now?
Using it best.
Do we get it now? Do we understand?
Well, I don't know if you. There was another article that came out. Actually, JJ McNabb was talking about. It was this 3%er. There was so basically there was this freshman U.S. Representative Mary Miller, whose husband was at the Capitol riot, and it was a 3%er, and Mary Miller was approvingly quoting Adolf Hitler right around the time of the Capitol riots. And I mean, I think we could go on and on all night about these connections that they have. But I mean, it was kind of best spelled out in the Ida Vox article that was quoting the Medium article. Honestly, it's just. I don't know. It's fucked up beyond belief. Like, the connections that are there, which they're pretending that don't seem to be there. Again, it's like it's the pictures with Timothy Teagan, photo with Magnus, and all these other people, and it's like he's standing side by side, and it's like, all right, well, if you're palling around with all these people, you're palling around with these people. Like, I mean, can you really deny that? I mean, who are these people? And I'll just go back to what Mary Miller said. She has
She apologized to me because everybody was ripping her to shreds over that one. She basically told a crowd at the Capitol, and remember I said in January she said this. Hitler was right on one thing. Whoever has the youth has the future. Our children are being, and she says our children are being propagandized. And what Hitler actually said, he alone who owns the youth gains the future. And this was and she said this.
So let's quote Hitler. Let's all quote Hitler.
Bless her. Are we surprised? I mean, come on, folks were in the Capitol wearing a Camp Auschwitz T-shirt. So come on, we can't be surprised anymore. What we have to be surprised about is the fact that there's either been way too much inaction on the part of decent people against these characters, and in the case of folks like the dirtbag left, embracing.
But that's what I'm saying with the dirtbag left is I got that story because Max Blumenthal was talking about it, and it's like he's not saying this shit to his boy Jimmy Dore, and Jimmy Dore doesn't seem to give a fuck about it. Like he's doing nothing to apologize.
And Punks for Progress. I'm saying Punks for Progress is saying Jimmy Dore called Tim Pool, quote, very smart guy. Tim Pool's a fucking moron. And it says Dore is the gateway for disgruntled liberal to actual fascism. I don't know about that. Tim Pool is a goddamn gateway fascist. Tim Pool is the stupidest fucking person on the internet. And it blows my mind that people take him seriously. I had a former friend actually tried to tell me what the hell he was talking about. I was like, just read guy's article, just read the headlines of his YouTube show. Oh, he's a bullshitter, but it's just for people who I'm sorry, blow up on Tim Pool. The guy is
no. He's perfect for this. He's perfect for this discussion because he was first seen in Occupy and going down to Ferguson and videotaping that.
Yeah,
he's a very good example of what we're talking. What
he's the dirtbag. Can
become. He's gonna be. No, I don't think he was dirtbag. I don't even think he was dirtbag left. I
cannot protect us out for himself.
And he is a fascist. And he is a fascist. I mean, it's funny because a lot of them tried, and a lot of them called themselves libertarians. And this is one of the reasons why we push back on them so much. Is that a lot of them that we're dealing with right now that are so-called alt-right came out of Occupy. They say they came out of Occupy at least. And so that just
they were at Occupy. They were eating a hot dog across the street from Occupy. There
were a lot of fucking morons at Occupy.
Yeah, there were a lot of weirdos.
Great people. There were a lot of fucking.
Oh man, as much as
being at Occupy doesn't qualify you to do a whole hell of a lot in life, man.
No, it is important. It is important to point out how much the Ron Paul types tried to embed Occupy.
I saw them there. That's walking around with copies of the Constitution.
Oh my goodness! I mean, we had a militia guy in Occupy Philly. We had a guy, and I mean, there's video of me on YouTube of me cussing everybody out because they tried to put together some sort of teaching there, and I was just like, oh, fuck you. But they had a tent. They had a tent just like everybody else. Unlike everybody else, theirs got ransacked and people took a dump in it. Yes, you heard me correctly.
Conversely, there's plenty of amazing fucking people from Occupy, like Greg House.
No. I'm saying there were weirdos showing up. Yeah, I was well intentioned. I was there, like I supported it. I went with my brother, he was young at the time. I supported Occupy 100%. That being said, in any crowd of people, weirdos can and will show up, and there were a lot of weirdos that did show up.
It was a healthy mix. It was an unhealthy mix. Yeah. And ultimately that's why it didn't, and that's why it kind of broke apart. But I'll back up my insults a minute to say a lot of great people came out of that movement and did good things on the left. But Occupy itself was just kind of it was a party in the park, man. I mean, I was there. It was cool. And there was some great political discussion. But it's what happened afterwards. That whole thing. It's what happened after Occupy that I think really matters.
What happened after Occupy? Here's the important thing about Occupy. Occupy was meant to show people that, yes, there are alternatives to getting solutions and besides the alternatives to having to deal with your elected official or your a corrupt political system. You don't have to vote Democrat. You don't have to vote in order to get things done. That's what Occupy showed. Occupy showed that our enemies aren't even fazed by our vote. I mean, because they're owned by the banks. Occupy focused on the banks.
And then Barack Obama's stormtroopers shut it down.
They were right. To show you how much they were right. The Democrats and the politicians shut down Occupy after a couple of months, but they still championed something that came out of Occupy. That's what Fight for 15 was about. What happened this year? We get 7 Democratic senators. The $15 minimum wage should have passed, but 7 Democratic senators, including one who had to do a little curtsy.
Oh God!
When she voted against it, voted no, and that right there was the best illustration of what it was that Occupy was fighting and why. And again,
I think these movements were very young.
These movements are very young.
They're older.
They're maturing now. Of course, they're maturing in the form of blowing things up in the street last year, and we might see it again this year. But that's called frustration, because we're not supposed to be under the boot of these politicians. And that's why we keep seeing brothers and sisters getting killed in the streets. My feeling about it, and I know we got 2 minutes before the show is supposed to end. My feeling about it is everybody has to recognize that when we are being successful in our efforts, and have to start recognizing that when we are successful in our efforts, there are going to be some folks that are going to use it to exploit us, to go and exploit it for their means to go in the opposite direction. Because they see a popular movement, they want to bastardize it, and they always do that. I always try to remind people that's where we got the American Revolution from. Those farmers out there in the fields, they were the ones that were talking about why are we giving our money to a king 3,000 miles away. Yes, I'm recognizing the fact that they were all colonizers. Yes, I am recognizing that. But we're just talking about, in this instance right now, I'm talking about those poor farmers that were busting their ass trying to make things work. Thomas Paine, who by no means was anything the founding fathers wanted around. He wrote Common Sense, encouraged those same farmers to make a revolution. And the libertarians of that day, Washington, Hamilton, Franklin, said, "Hey, that's a good idea. I like what you're doing." And then when they got into power, when they pushed back the British, all of a sudden the only people that can make decisions in the country were landowners, and that wasn't those farmers. That's what we fight. That's who we deal with. So, Rob, Lauren, I must ask, what do you got coming up?
2020 The Dumpster Fire is going to be coming out with our distributor Buffalo 8. The paper has just been signed in the past couple of days. We've got art that's being produced for it, and we do not have a street date, but it should be coming out in the very, very near future. It's been a long wait, and God damn it, it's been really annoying because the movie itself has been done, since the end of last year when the Capitol riot happened, and so that had to be adjusted for it. But still, we had the company that had reached out to us initially. Me and our main producing partner, we were going to put it out on our own to kind of fight against COVID, put out in the theaters, even just so we can get it in the big papers. I might be saying too much here. I'm just saying it's a portrait of what happened in 2020, going from the early stages of, say, like someone like Tulsi Gabbard, who I know has got like some very iffy supporters out there, being a challenge to the Democratic Party, that the Democrats pushing her off the stage, me trolling the fuck out of her, Vermin Supreme coming in and trolling the fuck out of people, us just trolling the fuck out of people. That's the first chapter of the movie. Then all of a sudden, George Floyd protests happen. Second half of the movie, it goes in a completely other direction. Shit is burning down. I'm out in Minneapolis. I was there with Nico from Unicorn Riot and this other dude, Rich. It was like three of us that were live streaming the real shit that was happening out there in the fucking gunfights, out there with the National Guard pulling like another black man out of a car. I thought that dude was gonna fucking die. Out there watching the cops doing drive-by shootings on us. That's all in the movie. There's the Portland protests. There's the Chop/Chaz bringing us out to the protest for the open up versus even just like homeless people getting kicked out and people trying to get back to work. All the various protests that were out there. There's the Proud Boys. There's Super Happy Fun America, and it all culminates in that goddamn awful Capitol riot. I thought it was going to be just election day, but shit popped off. But that's why the movie's called The Dumpster Fire. Lauren,
we hope to see you soon. I want to, and we're definitely going to cover it whenever.
Yep. And
on the premiere day, we're going to be there. Opening. I will come the hell up to Boston just to be there for the premiere if that's where it's going to be or whatever.
Absolutely.
So, I'll bring a date. And
Daryl's on his producer now to help us push that out there. You can see links on my YouTube channel or even just my Twitter, youtube.com/RodWeber or Twitter RodWeber. All the same, WEBBER. Not like the grill, which is Weber. I can't get down with the Weber grills, but more like Andrew Lloyd. But
will there be deleted scenes of you harassing Tulsi Gabbard come in the DD extras?
Yes, absolutely. The director's.
That's what I'm looking for.
No,
the director's cut.
Actually, no.
I made him take a lot of Tulsi out, to be honest.
Okay, well, hold on. So now since you brought up a weird question, though. So there was a rule. There's an ethical standard for the basis on which we would troll people. And that was if you asked them for an interview and they gave it to you politely, I would act like a normal journalist around them.
Actually, he was really nice.
And Tulsi was nice the whole fucking time.
They had a thing.
As much. That's not even a fucking thing. And in fact, you can go back to I wrote articles out on Medium and WordPress fucking condemning her, but before she was running. So that's not what she's saying. Is not. Though. She did like me, but that's not the point. The point is that she was kind to me, so I treated her like a regular journalist. If they didn't, like Joe Biden or Pete Buttigieg, they got the fucking weirdness treatment. We trolled the fuck out of them. So that's
Pete Buttigieg.
They had a good song.
Pete.
So again, Rod, Lauren, thank you very much for being here today. Yep. You will be back, and I promise I will say I'm going to try it again.
Oh, you're all muted. I can't hear you.
What just happened?
Okay, I am on my phone doing this. This is not. I mean, I was trying, and I just got a call, and it's a good thing.
Okay.
Because I was about to screw the name up again, and this is not shtick. I'm actually fucking up the name, but it's not intentional, and I do apologize. I will say it right. Pespisa.
Like a Pez dispenser.
Pespisa.
Closer. Pespisa.
I'm going to get it right.
One day.
All right, Brian, your turn. What's up?
I don't even know what to pick. I got so much going on over here at Revolution Radio, but keep up on our social media, Twitter feeds and all that. We've got a live show coming up June 22nd, Edison, New Jersey at the Coffee House. Can't wait to do it. We're going to do a whole spectacular thing where a whole bunch of regulars come, drink coffee, hang out, and talk about lefty politics. The apocalypse is over, and we are back in a coffee shop. So I'm looking forward to that. And I want to make sure that I thank Lauren and Rob for all their hard work. We really do appreciate you guys coming on, and I can't wait to see that movie, man. I follow their social media, and if you're on Twitter and Facebook or whatever, make sure you find them, and if you guys can give your handles out, because their social media is interesting. Check it. I'll let it describe itself as you watch.
I'm Rod Weber, and Lauren is.
I'm Splendid Spoon, but his more interesting than mine. Mine's on local politics.
And give us money. www.njrevolutionradio.com.
But local politics is important.
It is.
Yeah.
Very important.
Very important, actually. But
so,
arguably more important. Say like local politics, obviously important than national politics. But tomorrow night I'll be on the main show, NJRR Live with Brian. If you're out there, check it out. It'll be a fun one. Please donate if you njrevolutionradio.com/donate. Give us $5, give us $10, give us $1 million. Tell 5 people about us, give us $5. That I think I'm out. But please continue following New Jersey Revolution Radio, Ida Vox, and check out Rod and I can't wait to see the movie.
I've seen the movie, and it's a beautiful movie. I love the movie. And I can't wait for everybody else to see it. OnePeoplesProject.com, IdaVox.com, Facebook. We have a fundraiser going on our Facebook page. Basically, it's going to be for the next month. We're going to be just asking people for money. We need money. It's our 21st anniversary. So from June 4th to July 4th, we're going to be just begging for cash. We got a lot of things that are going on in the next couple of months to years, truthfully. And we want your help. We want your support. And we thank you for the support that you've been giving us. We appreciate the fact that you have been watching the Ida Vox Report as well as anything on Revolution Radio. Tell your friends that we're out here because they don't want to miss it. You don't want them to miss it. I mean, we're kicking ass over here, and they want to put their boots on and do it with us. So come on now, bring them on board and tell them, yo, every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, Ida Vox Report is here. And next week I'll be back in New Brunswick, and we will be talking a little bit more about Scott Pressler and his garbage. So that's it for today. We're running a little long, but it was worth it, and hopefully we have good news about that Scott Pressler rally, Scott Pressler event. People, hopefully, we mobilize enough people to say, no, you're not doing this here. Hopefully we'll have done that. So we'll find out. In the meantime, we'll check you next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Do not be late, even if we are, because we were today. Take care, y'all. Peace.
Thrown against the car, handcuffed, and that's what happened last night.
The police kicked in the door, shot him twice in the chest, and he died.
Before you knew it, we had 500 families. We had over 100 volunteers calling us. We were on the phone constantly.
I can't get, and I got one police department telling me they don't know who's in charge. I got another police department here. Everybody's got a gun, and nobody knows who's in charge. Did anybody figure out who's in charge yet? Is there anybody in charge here? Any police officer in charge? Are you in charge? I can't find anybody in charge. That's the problem.